Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we get into today's story, I want to give you my honest take on why this one matters so much. In my opinion, what's happening right now between the United States and Iran isn't just another geopolitical headline you scroll past. It's a story that could directly hit your grocery bill, your gas prices, and your investment portfolio in the coming weeks. I believe the reason this deserves your full attention is because it involves the Strait of Hormuz, and if you don't already know why that matters, you're about to. Based on the available information, I think investors should be watching two things closely right now. First, whether this remains a short, contained military exchange, or whether it drags on and genuinely restricts oil shipments for an extended period. Second, whether diplomatic talks can still happen despite the strikes, because that's usually the signal markets look for before deciding whether to panic or stay calm. This is analysis on my part, not a confirmed outcome. What I expect, at least in the short term, is continued volatility in oil prices, along with nervous trading in sectors like airlines, shipping, and anything tied to fuel costs. Energy companies could see a short-term boost as crude prices rise, while companies dependent on stable fuel costs could see margins squeezed. Nothing here should be taken as a guaranteed forecast, just an informed read on where things could be heading. With that context in mind, let's walk through exactly what's been reported. Tensions between the United States and Iran have escalated sharply, with both countries exchanging direct military strikes over the past several days. This marks the third time in a single week that U.S. forces have struck targets inside Iran. In response, Iran launched a coordinated wave of retaliatory drone and missile attacks against several American allies across the Middle East, including Kuwait, Jordan, and Qatar. According to reports, damage has been relatively limited so far, and there have been no confirmed deaths. U.S. Central Command stated that the latest American strikes were specifically ordered to reduce Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping vessels. This action followed an Iranian strike on a Cyprus-flagged cargo ship, which reportedly left the vessel badly damaged, with one crew member still unaccounted for. Iranian state media reported explosions along the country's southern coastline, hitting areas connected to the country's energy infrastructure. Locations mentioned include the energy hub of Bushehr, the port cities of Bandar Abbas and Bandar Deir, and areas close to the Strait of Hormuz. So why does the Strait of Hormuz matter so much? This narrow passage sits between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula, and historically, it has carried roughly 1/5 of the entire world's oil and liquefied natural gas supply. Iran has now declared that the strait will remain closed until further notice. Iranian officials say they will not allow vessels to pass through until what they describe as foreign interference in the region comes to an end. This is a significant escalation compared to earlier tensions. Reports indicate Iranian forces already intercepted at least one cargo ship attempting to pass through the strait, firing a warning shot after the vessel reportedly ignored an earlier warning. A second vessel may have also been stopped, though details remain unconfirmed. Meanwhile, retaliatory strikes against U.S. allies continued to unfold across the region. Jordan reported missile strikes aimed at facilities connected to American command operations, while Qatar reported minor injuries after falling debris from intercepted missiles. Kuwait and Bahrain also reported attacks targeting military equipment, including missile defense systems, ammunition storage sites, and radar installations, showing just how widespread this exchange of strikes has become. As a direct result of all this, shipping activity through the strait slowed dramatically. On Sunday, there was almost no vessel traffic, with only a couple of tankers cautiously approaching from a distance. Despite the scale of these attacks, there are still signs diplomacy hasn't completely collapsed. Iran's foreign minister traveled to Oman over the weekend for discussions about the future of the strait. However, Iran has made clear that further negotiations depend on the United States fulfilling earlier commitments from a previous agreement, particularly around shipping access through Hormuz and normalizing Iran's oil exports. This latest escalation also comes just days after President Trump warned that any threat against his personal safety would trigger a massive military response against Iran, adding even more tension to an already fragile relationship. From a market's perspective, the impact has already started showing up. Oil prices climbed noticeably over the past week as traders responded to the escalating strikes and rising concern about a prolonged disruption to global supply routes. For now, the situation remains highly fluid. Governments, energy companies, and financial markets around the world will be watching closely to see whether diplomacy prevails or tensions continue building. That brings us to the end of today's breakdown. As always, I'll keep tracking this story closely and bring you updates as it develops. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.